I'm Adam Maness.
And I'm Peter Martin.
And you're listening to the You'll Hear It podcast.
Season 2, Daily Jazz Advice, coming at you.
You're still on the Season 2 thing, man.
Well, it's only been one day. I mean, really going to abandon it that fast?
We're very excited that we even made it to Season 2.
Right. We didn't know.
We weren't sure we were going to make it past the first week.
We didn't know if we were going to make it to episode 2, much less season 2.
That's the truth, actually, right there.
Big shout out to iTunes, Apple for not kicking us off. What's up?
So, yeah, what do we got?
Well, we're going to, as promised, we're going to get back to some of these great listener questions, and we're going to Elias up in Rhode Island, the great state of Rhode Island.
Great state of Rhode Island. I like Rhode Island.
I love Rhode Island.
Yeah.
You know, Rhode Island is not an island. Well, it's a collection of mini islands and some mainland.
It's an arpeggio. Archaeologist? What is it?
Archipelago?
Archipelago?
Yeah, well, I don't know if it's actually that, but it's a lot of mainland, and it's one of our smaller states.
Yeah.
You know, but not small in heart.
Well, and Elias is a longtime Open Studio member. He's a great guy, great pianist. Like he's come and hung for a little bit.
That's right.
When he was through St. Louis, that was really fun. So
he's our friend. So we're going to listen to his question right now.
Hey, Adam and Peter, it's Elias. I have a question for you guys about playing what you hear. So, do you play what you hear? Is that a realistic goal? Are we always trying to hear our lines before we play them? Do we ever just kind of like not do that? Because you also hear that from players that you don't want to plan things out so much, that you kind of want to go into a state of like meditative flow when you're improvising. Yeah, that's kind of my question, because you hear this all the time from players that like, you gotta play what you hear, but that seems really hard. Yeah, anyway, thanks.
All right, great question. Thank you, Elias.
It's a great question. And actually, Elias did post this on one of our Facebook groups, and there was a good conversation about it. Mm-hmm. I didn't chime in there, but I do have some thoughts about it. I don't know what you think about this.
Go ahead.
Well, my initial thought on this is that I don't always play exactly what I hear, and I don't try to hear exactly what I'm going to play. That would mess me up, I think. But that doesn't mean you can't communicate an idea. Like, I'm communicating an idea to you here, and this sentence could change in the middle, and I'm still going to convey this idea. I know what the idea I'm trying to convey. The language I use is very much improvised and on the fly, and it's not planned out. I'm not thinking of every sentence I'm going to say. Maybe I should more often, I guess. But I'm not like thinking about every word in the sentence and then I'm going to spit it out. I have a general idea. I have a ambiguous idea in my head, and I'm using the limited English that I know to try to communicate that to you. And I think it's, for me, playing jazz, improvising, being in the moment is similar.
Yes.
I'm absorbing what's happening around me. I know what I want to say. I know the spirit of what I want to say.
Yep.
And I'm not planning the individual notes or even the individual phrases. I'm letting that kind of happen, but it's in that idea of what I want to get across.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
No, I think that absolutely, and I think that one of the elements that may be in common with having a discussion as we are, as you said, with improvising as we play, is that unexpected thing of not only what we're going to say or play, but what someone else is. In fact, as I was listening to Elias's question, I was kind of thinking about my feelings and my answer. And what you just said now kind of changes what I would say about it, as it should. Right. You know, just the same way as if we're playing music together, I can't only think about what am I hearing and how am I going to express that, and I'll play what I hear, because I have to play what I hear within the context of everything that's going on. So you might think, okay, when we're in a solo situation, that would be the only exception to that, and maybe so, but there's also then even responding to what you just played, so like where you are in the flow of the moment, how that sounds, because I don't see this as like we own the notes of what we played. As soon as or what we hear, we're just kind of borrowing other things that we've heard and the gifts that we've been given, hopefully. Yeah. And then we're working at that. That's the technique part, the ear training and all that, to be able to get to an accurate representation. But I would say, to Elias's kind of first part of his question, as far as asking us, do we play what we hear? That for me is the goal. Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Now, I don't do it 100% of the time. If I did, I'd be a master, and I would have left this and moved on to astrophysics or something, some other pursuit.
Right.
That's what makes it fun, and I think what we're learning and talking about and developing, and what I always try to check out in other players and in talking to other great players to learn better. How do we get to that, closer to that 100%? But there's no shame. Not only is there no shame, there's no possible way, I don't think, to ever getting to 100% playing what you hear. And I guess we should probably define that too, especially since the name of the podcast is You'll Hear It.
Right. Well, so there is that idea of playing melodically. Now, I do, I can hear what I'm going to play melodically.
Yeah.
And I know now enough about my own language that I can play a melody and know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
While it's happening. But I definitely don't plan out every single note.
Yeah.
Just as I'm talking to you, I want to get the word melodically out because that's the best word, and I know in my brain that that's the best word to describe what I'm talking about. But how I get there,
Yeah.
to melodically, could be different.
Man, you say it so good. Say it again.
Melodically,
Melodically.
No, you know what I'm saying? It's
Yeah.
like I kind of agree that the goal could be to hear everything you're going to play. Yeah, I think it's just unrealistic with any kind of. I don't know, with any kind of like...
Well, we've talked about before, like this idea, because it's very hard, like if we just say play what you hear, or that doesn't totally define, maybe there's some gradients in there. I would say one way to look at it is if you play a solo or play a whole tune or even a whole gig, and then you listen to a recording of it, an audio recording of it back, like how close is that to how you experienced it in the moment?
Yeah.
Like to me, that shows you're getting closer to being able to hear it. You'll hear it.
Yeah.
To play what you hear. And so it's less about planning it out, more about kind of accuracy in the moment
Yeah.
of what you're playing. Because just like when we're speaking, there's this element of like we're always moving forward. Like you always, as you're playing a solo, as you're playing a gig, as you're playing the next gig, you cannot look in the rear view mirror.
No.
Like that will be, you'll mess up the form and the time, and that's the recipe for a horrible performance. But at the same time, everything that you play, you hear it afterwards, and you might be like, ugh, or like if you say melodically, and then you can't really go back and fix it,
Yeah.
but you are making an adjustment for the next time that you're going to say that,
Yeah.
even if it's just a subconscious kind of a thing.
I think the word planning, that's the one that's kind of irking me about like, trying to hear everything you're playing.
Yeah.
Sean Jones, when we had him in here recording some lessons, talked
Yep.
about using space in your solo and using that space to kind of think of your next idea. I think that's a great way to think of it.
Yeah.
Not thinking about, he didn't say thinking about your next note that you're going to play.
No, it's not like G minor. I'm gonna start
Yeah.
on the ninth. To me, that's the crux of it, though.
Right.
Is like when you're hearing it, you're letting the idea come to you in the moment.
Totally.
You're not intellectually hearing it.
No.
You're really letting, and I want to get too metaphysical or whatever, but you're kind of letting the environment, the world, the spirit, something
Yeah.
kind of give you something. Like you're opening yourself up to hear something, not from within you, just kind of from the moment that it needs to happen,
I don't think there's enough time to plan that kind of stuff out.
No.
Especially if you are engaged with the other musicians you're playing with.
Right.
And you're accepting things from them.
Yeah.
And you're accepting what's happening. There's not enough time to really be like, I'm going to try to hear every phrase before I play it. They just happen. And,
Yeah.
And I think what you were saying about trying to hear everything you're playing, that comes more with like experience of knowing where you are on the instrument, being able to hear melodically where you might go or rhythmically where you might take it.
I mean, it's like the concept of you'll hear it and playing what you hear. It's almost like, are you willing to totally unconsciously create something in the moment and constantly stay in the moment and not plan out anything and not feel that you need to pull something out that you're good at any particular time, that you're able to just speak through your instrument whatever it is that comes into your mind, but not coming into your mind in an intellectual way, just kind of blurt it out. It's almost like, you go to you meet someone and you start talking and you just say this is probably horrible, I'm gonna do this, but isn't there like a syndrome, the people that just say whatever they think and they can't stop themselves?
Yeah.
Tourette's
yeah.
syndrome.
Yeah,
and I don't mean to
no, it's a serious thing.
It's a serious thing
for sure. Yeah.
So a little bit of Tourette's in jazz could be good though, like where you're willing to just speak not to be like, oh, I shouldn't play this or this won't fit. Now, what has to go along with this is the technique, the ear training, the musical sensitivity, this musical sensibility to be able to create something. Like, you can't just pull somebody off the street that's never played saxophone and be like, go Tourette's crazy on this now.
Yeah.
It has to be, the better you are, the better that this is going to work, of course.
That's right.
But I really think that that's the kind of mentality that's like, you'll hear it.
Right. Well, and that's why we work on getting, as an improviser, it's different than as like a classical player where you're playing something that's predetermined, right? We work on getting, these scales in our hands so we don't have to think about them.
Yeah.
And the idea with that, like the famous Charlie Parker saying, right, is like learn the changes and then forget them. Yeah. The idea with that is that we don't have the time or the bandwidth in our brains to process all this information and then make good music out of it.
Right.
You just have to, it has to be so ingrained by the time you get on the gig that you're just talking. That you're just, like we're talking to each other now. None of this was scripted, although it sounds scripted. No, but you know what I mean? It's just like so that you can have a conversation, so that you have your cliches and you have your cadences and you have your, sentence structure.
Yeah.
Ingrained in you as a language, as any language.
Well, and I think that, what you brought up with classical musicians, although they know the notes, I think when they hit a very high level of performance, the idea is that the performance feels as though they're just hearing, there's no separation between the composer and the notes and the music and the performer and then the live. And when it's done well, that's why a live classical performance can be so much more exciting even than a recorded one, because you're bringing it, and that's a little bit of a different skill. And, both of us having, performed a fair amount of classical music, I think you start to learn that it's a different thing than classical music. A lot of the technique, depending on the instrument, is similar, but the spirit behind it, you're trying to bring something else and make it, feel to the audience that you're creating it for the first time.
Yeah.
So within jazz, it's almost like, whatever we do, it's gonna be created.
It feels like that. Yeah.
And so what we don't want it to do is to feel too much like it's programmed.
Yeah.
But we want it to be authentic. And I think that's the whole thing with to me, like playing what you hear is being authentic, being yourself, not intellectualizing, not trying to show off, not just trying to play trying to say what you have to say. It's like if you meet someone at a party and you feel like you've talked to them for 20 minutes and you really were honest about who you are, you found out something about them, what you said was affected by what they said, and you feel like you really showed yourself, showed your spirit, your soul.
Spirit of the moment, man.
Spirit of the moment.
That's what it's all about.
Yep.
Well, Elias, this is a great question.
That's
and
right.
This could be talked about at length by smarter people than us, for sure. But it's
send me a link to that podcast, buddy.
No, but it's the crux of what we're doing here.
That's right.
And it's always great to think about this kind of stuff and analyze. And the answers we got on the Facebook page were varied widely. Some people talked about having perfect pitch and the ability to hear everything they play, and I think that's cool too. For me, it's just a matter of staying free with it, as much as possible.
I mean, I think all the things that we talk about from episode to episode and in the lessons and everything, and just learning to be a better musician is really about us getting closer to this freedom of being able to play. That's what it is.
Totally.
It's a great word, and playing what you hear is freedom. Just like being able to speak. If you live in a place where you can't say anything, then you don't have freedom. And if you are somewhere that you can't play anything, you don't have freedom. If you want to play, if what you hear at some point is the corniest phrase, but it's just like you kind of hear it, just play it.
Yeah.
There's a reason. We all have something to say. Let's let it out, and let's work on all these different elements of our playing, our technique, our ear training, especially, so that we can get closer to whatever it is we do hear, it being able to come out.
It's all about that preparation to get that freedom.
I thought it was all about the bass, but no, it's not. Okay, my bad. That's good. That was nice. So, well, good. Well, we are so appreciative of the ratings and reviews for season 2 already
Yeah.
flowing in. We're not ready to divulge them yet, but they're coming. I can feel them.
Yeah, that's right.
And that's very exciting. Thank you guys so much for sticking with the journey. Please go to iTunes. iTunes.com. No.
Wait, is that a thing?
No, it's not
Andrew,
a thing.
Google that because we could totally copyright iTunes.
Actually, go to Apple Podcasts, go to Stitcher, go to Spotify, wherever you want.
Stitcher.
But mainly go to you'llhearit.com.
That's
We
right.
have a brand new, totally redesigned page, and we've got a new logo.
Sweet.
We have swag. What? We didn't even talk about the swag.
Oh, yeah, man, we
got-
have-
Come on, man.
we have T-shirts,
We got T-shirts.
hoodies.
I don't have one yet.
I don't either.
they're
Mine's in the
available.
mail.
Did you order one?
Well, so Dan designed these beautiful T-shirts with our new logo on it.
Right.
And then I was like, can we just get one T-shirt that just has big, you'll hear it right up front?
Yeah.
That's my favorite. It's called the cassette T-shirt.
I don't even know about this.
Oh, man. I was going to wear it today,
Cassette.
but it's coming tomorrow.
Like a cassette.
Yeah.
Oh, I want it.
Yeah. No, check out the T-shirts.
Yeah, somebody order me one, please.
They're dope.
Where do they get them? You'llhearit.com?
You'llhearit.com.
You'llhearit.com. Rating review. If you're driving and you want to send us a text, don't text and drive, but when you pull over, you can send us a text. You know about this?
No.
You don't know about this. Send one word, you'll hear it. No apostrophes or anything. A little tricky to spell, I get it. I don't know why we did that, but some of you are getting through it. It is working. Send you'll hear it, just that word, to 44222.
Yep.
And at your leisure, you'll get back a little thing where you can send your email.
Leisure?
Leisure, yeah.
All right,
We're
then.
big in the UK now. Big shout out London. Hyde Park, where you at?
Dang.
So, yeah, text you'll hear it to 44222, and you'll get into our wonderful Monday, Tuesday-ish newsletter.
Yeah, the
It
newsletter is
comes
cool.
via email.
Yep. Yeah. Shout out to Rachel.
Yeah, what's up, Rachel?
Rachel Morgan,
Yep.
who does the newsletter. So, yeah, thanks, everybody. And until tomorrow.
You'll hear it.